All right, welcome back to our recording studios in St. Paul, Minnesota for AP Art History. This is the second of the shorter lectures, and we're now going to look at Indigenous Americas 250. There's not too many of them. It's going to be short and sweet once again. Let's get started. Okay, so in the northern highlands of Peru, they found this sculpture. Here it is. It's a stele. You might remember us talking about steles when we talked about the early River Valley kingdoms, specifically the stele of Hammurabi. Not Hammurabi. Well, we have Hammurabi, which is, of course, Babylonian, and then the stele of Narmesen, who's Akkadian. And so it's basically these monoliths, these stones that are carved. And it's in honor of the god for whom the temple was constructed. And it's a notch web-shaped stone. That's a mouthful. It's about 15 feet tall. And it's located deep within the old temple. What else? Okay. There's some serpent motifs and swirling forms. An ornament like this would have been worn by an elite person. So once again, no surprise. We're dealing with something that's built for the elites. And it would have shown not only their wealth and power, but their allegiance to a particular religion. There you go. Okay. Then we're going to go all over the place. So this is another part of that temple, this carving. Hold on a second. I think I'm going a little bit kind of all over the place. Oh, yes. So this is, hold on a second. Oh, okay. Sorry. Okay, here we go. All right, so this is very interesting. When I look at this thing, my nose just kind of has a little pain at the tip. This is actually a nose ring, which oh, I see now. Okay, so this is the relief sculpture from that same temple. Obviously, this is the stele. And then this is the nose ring, and they're all found at the temple. And this would have been worn by, again, somebody of higher standing. I wonder how large it is. Be interesting to know. Anyways, people that have nose piercings are probably celebrating this particular object. All right, then now we move. I knew we were moving far. Now we move clear to an area of Colorado. And this is a Mesa Verde cliff dwelling. And believe it or not, when I was a really little boy, about 4 or 5, I was near this. There's proof. There's some photographs from the 1970s. I love these things. So it's an ancestral Puebloan people. And they created this structure between 450 and 1300. That's quite a large, big thing of time there, measurement of time. They built more than 600 structures in the cliff face. And the families lived in the architectural units, and they were organized around kivas, which were circular subterranean rooms. They're just incredible architectural structures. And the kiva included a fire pit or hearth. It would allow, there was an open ventilation shaft that would deal with the smoke, in case you were wondering what the ventilation situation was within each of these. I hope to get back to this. I think it should be on my my bucket list. Okay, then we're just getting a whiplash here. Now we're going down to Mexico, and we're looking at a Mayan structure. It's kind of interesting. So there's a river presence around this particular structure. Now, of course, it's very much ridden with jungle. So one of your homework assignments is to, if you choose, to look at space archaeology, and there's just been incredible um, uh, finds lately through technology for Mayan temples. And we're going to see more and more of this in your lifetime. Um, it's a post and lintel central doorway. And oh, there's some bloodletting ritual sacrifices that went on in this temple. Only the strong of stomach can handle that stuff. And of course, you probably heard about this before, but the rulers needed to shed blood in order to maintain order in the cosmos. Couldn't they come up with something else? I guess not. All right, there you go. All right, and then this, okay, so this structure is showing you the bloodletting. Yeah, so this is kind of interesting. So Lady XOOK, I don't know how to pronounce that, holds a bowl in her left hand while she looks up towards the rising serpent. And in addition to her patterned square cut blouse, she's festooned with a headdress, elaborate bracelets, earrings, and necklaces, likely made of jade. And the bowl is a piece of paper stained with her blood. Yikes. She has likely burned the paper to allow the blood to ascend to the gods and bring about a vision serpent. Well, all right. Isn't it beautiful though? I went to, you guys know this, I went to Belize. We went to Belize on our honeymoon, and we went to a Mayan site, and I still have a t-shirt somewhere that has beautiful designs like this on it. And here's another better look at it. Okay, now we're going back to North America, Ohio to be specific, and we're looking at great serpent mounds made in 1070 from the indigenous population there. And I've just been learning more about these mounds. Just last week, I'm going to have the Museum Studies kids watch this half-hour documentary from TPT on mounds that are in Minnesota. Not all the mounds have human remains. That's one of the things that I learned from that documentary. And there are many, many, many of these more mounds. I've seen them in actually northeast Iowa. And as you might imagine, farmers plowed them over to make fields. But these, thankfully, were preserved. Yeah. Anything else I want to say about them? Yeah, that's fine. Okay, now we're going back to Mexico. These trips would cost many, many thousands of dollars on an airplane, but now we're going to the Templo Mayor, the main temple of Tenochtitlan in modern Mexico City. And now we're talking about the Aztecs. And this is kind of an interesting story. So it wasn't until 1978 when electric workers in Mexico City came across this remarkable discovery. And they were digging up a main plaza, and they, kept digging and digging and found this. And it's located in a sacred precinct at the heart of the city. Yeah, and what else do I want to say about it? It's about 90 feet high, and it's covered in stucco. There's 2 grand staircases, not just one, which are dedicated to some deities of the Aztecs. And then let's look at this. This is always just amazes me. I love this thing. So this is a calendar stone. It's placed on the ground, and it's in honor of the sun god, and records the origin of the cosmos, and 4 eras of the Aztec calendar. Fascinating. Okay, so that's the calendar stone. Now we're going to look at something again from the Aztecs, and this is another situation where you're seeing a slide and you can't get a sense of its size. It actually could be held in the palm of your hand. And this is from, I should have told you what the palace is from. Yeah, so 1375 to 1520. And this is actually an Olmec style head, so a pre-Aztec culture that's older than them. And yeah, it's beautiful. Okay, sorry about that. There was a hiccup there. I accidentally pressed done. Okay, we're almost done though. Okay, hold on. All right. Now, this is another one that I didn't know much about until 2016 in the 250. So this is another. We're going back to the Aztecs now, and this is from 1428 to 1520, and this is a ruler's feather headdress, and it's made from the male quetzal bird's feathers. I'm sure he didn't appreciate it when his feathers were being yanked out. And believe it or not, it's not in Mexico, it's in Vienna. Another example of cultural imperialism. And it must have been quite beautiful on the Aztec ruler's head way back in the day. Ooh, even a better look at it with this detail. Quite beautiful, quite colorful. Okay, now we're going to the city of Cusco. And now we're back in Peru, and we're looking at something from the Inca. So this was the capital city of the Inca Empire. And so I got to show you this. So the top portion is a Catholic church. The bottom portion, the darker wall, is actually from a temple of the Incas. And this is pretty, this happens a lot in the New World, whereby the Spanish build a sacred Catholic church over a previous property, if you will, of another religion, another indigenous population's belief system. And they're not the only ones to do it. I mean, you might know this. I should have told you this before, but some of the Greek temples that are still somewhat in existence today are only in existence because somebody made a Catholic church out of it, including, now this is going to shock you. You guys ready for this? Hold on to something stable. Including the Parthenon was at one point a Catholic church. And also at one point, this is going to be even crazier, it was a mosque with minarets. I look it up, it's true. So yeah, of course they're making a statement that their Catholic belief system, and when we're going back to this one, is more important than the old Aztec. What a bunch of jerks. Okay, I love this object because I'm from Nebraska and I've husked more corn than you ever could imagine in your lifetime. This is a maize cob. And it's a beautiful metal object made of gold and silver. It mimics the appearance of ripe ear of corn breaking through its husk, still on the stalk, but ready to be harvested. Oh, so wonderful. Yeah, and so it's obviously talking about the importance of corn within the Inca culture. Okay, Machu Picchu, is it in on anybody's bucket list? It used to be for me. I don't know so much anymore. Maybe I'll get to it at some point. So now we're still in Peru and we're still with the Inca. We are 2,400 feet above sea level. This structure was made for about 500 people. And it was found by an American in 1911. It's used to observe the sun, winter, and summer solstice, and it's dedicated to the sun god. I've had a friend that actually has gone there before. Yeah, not many people reach it. And then here's a little bit more of a close-up. Okay. Yeah. There you go. All right, now we're looking at a tunic. We're still with the Inca people. And it is obviously made for the elite. And it's a textile. And it's from about the mid 15th century. And their technology for textiles were developed well before ceramics. Finely made textiles from the best materials were objects of high status among the Andean cultures. Hey, somebody close that door! I'm coming. Yeah. Close the door, people. Sorry, guys. No, that's good enough. I'm fine with that. All right, so that's for an Inca ruler. Okay, now we're to Native American groups in present-day United States. So now we're looking at a Bandola bag among the Delaware tribe in the eastern woodlands. And if you grew up in Minnesota and were in elementary school, you're probably familiar with this type of bag because it's also something that comes out of the Ojibwe tribe. And it is worn by a man, but made by a woman. There you go. Now, what's always fascinating to me is that when you look at this, so this is 1850. This is made by European beads. But if it's pre-contact, oftentimes it's made out of porcupine, porcupine, what do you call those? What do you call those things? Hold on a second. I gotta think of this for a minute. Quills! There you go. Yeah, so, and they're very colorful. I mean, they dye them, obviously, and they're very colorful. Yeah, so, again, something that you're fairly familiar with. Although it's not a Ojibwe object. It is a Lenape object. Oh, I love this. The transformation mask. Most people, I think, could recognize this as Northwest Coast indigenous population. Actually, there's a great video at MIA showing the ceremony when a man wears this mask and then pulls a string and you get a human face. And it's an amazing, powerful, dramatic performance. All right, so usually an animal changes into a mythical being or an animal becoming another animal. And these masks were used, as we said before, by dancers during ceremonies. And the eagle mask is in the collection of the American Museum of Natural History. And so I talked about the transformation. Yeah, okay, that's good. All right, now let's go to this one, the painted elk hide, which, and this is very rare, but we have it, which is probably why they put it in the 250. We know who made it, and it's Kotsigo was his original name among the Eastern Shoshone, and this is from Wyoming. And this is another example of history being presented in a different way. In this case, on a animal hide, and it's also in tandem with oral traditions, which we just got done talking about among a particular African group. And many of these scenes celebrated battles or other biographical details. It might have functioned as a wall hanging, or it also could have been classified as a robe, which is very interesting. I'd like to get to know this guy. It looks really interesting. Yeah, so there you have an elk hide painted. And then last but not least of the 250 that we need to worry about, for 2020, this is Maria Martinez's and Julian Martinez's black on black ceramic vessel. And this is an example of a work from the 20th century. And we know who these individuals were. They became one of the best known Native American potters of the 20th century due to their excellence as ceramicists. They were known among, Native Americans, but they were also known among collecting European Americans. And particularly Maria Martinez is seen as a real innovator with regards to pottery. I think I'll just leave it at that. It's quite beautiful. All right, good note to end on with pottery from people we can actually know who made it. Okay, we are done with the 250, but we are still going to have a couple more fun, in my estimation, fun lectures. One is going to be on centuries and centuries of female artists. And then we're going to finish our photography history. We only made it up to 1930 the last time, so we'll do that as well. All right, there you go.